Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Why Though. I'm not very keen on the name just yet. I might have to change it later, but for now, it's called Why Though. For this first episode, I'm going to discuss a topic that everyone unhealthy can relate to. I'm going to be discussing why you love toxic people. Warning, everything I discuss in this episode is based on psychological theories mixed with my own opinion. Keep in mind, every situation is unique and these concepts don't necessarily target everyone. The aim of this podcast is to share advice, provide comfort, and help as many people as I can. Before we say why you love toxic people and why you're so unhealthy, let's define what a toxic person is. This is my own definition, but I think everyone could relate. The one, who I'm talking about. The person you message and you just sit by your phone waiting and waiting and waiting for them to reply. And you don't know whether they're going to take it the wrong way, a good way. You go back and forth in arguing. There's always an argument. It's never calm. And when it's calm, you really hold on to that phase because you know it's not going to last long. Okay. Let's do it. So I'm reading it off my phone because I did write some notes. What is a toxic person? A toxic person is anyone that makes you feel like shit and doesn't add anything to your life except negative energy. Okay? It's someone who's manipulative. They're controlling. They're unsupportive. They're abusive. And there's different types of abuse, but there's emotional abuse, physical abuse, there's tons. But just anyone that harms you and probably gaslights you after. Even, I'll give an example. You might catch someone cheating and they will literally try to manipulate you into thinking that it didn't happen and you're just crazy. That is what gaslighting is. A lot of people use the definition wrong, but it's when there's a lot of evidence, and even when there is evidence, this person will still try to make you question yourself. Basically, they'll throw words like you're crazy, you're being dramatic, you're naggy, you're clingy, just anything. So the point is, like, for instance, if you catch someone cheating, right, and then he's like, you're just crazy, like, what is wrong with you? Your first instinct is going to be like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm going to defend myself and show you that I'm not crazy. And you're going to kind of forget about the main point about cheating. They kind of just make you go into these little friggin' roller coaster of an argument to just, at the end of it, you're going to be exhausted. And it's like talking to a wall. And honestly, it's anyone that disrespects you. Like, some people disrespect you in public, in private, just anyone who is bad and really lowers your self-esteem, that is to me a toxic person. Why do we love toxic people so much? There's a lot of interesting concepts to discuss, but I just picked the ones that I like the most. And honestly, everything stems back to your childhood. You don't realize this, but everything that happens in your childhood is crucial in your development, how you interact with people, how you view yourself, how you view the world. Everything happens in childhood. You might think, oh, like, I had a bad high school experience, but it's like, no, you need to dig deeper, because 9 times out of 10, it's usually something in your childhood that made you choose that person. Okay. So let's get into the juicy stuff. The first relationships we see are our parents. They're the ones that shape us. They're the ones that raise us. That is the first relationship we see. And honestly, from my experience, whenever I had anyone complain to me about a toxic ex, a toxic boyfriend, I always ask them this question. I'll say, are your parents divorced? Or is the toxic person's parents divorced? And let me tell you, every single time they say, yeah, how did you know that? And it's because usually, generally, not always, but people that have divorced parents grew up seeing a very toxic relationship, and they grew up in a very negative environment, and that's the first relationship they see. So obviously, as a child, that is the thing you're going to mimic when you're older, because that's what you've seen. That's what you think is normal. Okay. And even if obviously, so the whole main thing here is like divorce. Okay, some divorces are great. Like, if there's no conflict and it's neutral, the parents are on good terms, this probably won't happen. And it's not even just divorce. There are parents that stay together and there are some parents that stay together, and this is probably with a lot of Arabs too. They stay together just for the children, but really their relationship is so toxic. There's abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's physical abuse, but they only stay because of the kids or whatever their circumstance is. And even then, that is still what you're going to see as a child. You grow up and you're thinking, you see your parents staying together, you're fighting back and forth, which might relate to, I just thought of something. Which I think you see these people, they're so toxic, they're staying together. You might think that staying with a toxic person is normal because that is what you've seen. You've seen your parents, they stay together for 10, 20, 30 years and they're toxic. Maybe that's what I should do too. Another thing I'd like to add is that we accept things that we are most comfortable with. It doesn't mean they're good. Let me break this down to you. Okay? If you grow up and you're so used to being dismissed, disrespected, gaslighted, when there are these traits in a guy, you're automatically attracted to him. Why? Because you're so used to it. And I never understood this, okay? Because I dated someone that was so toxic, and I never understood why I was so attracted to him and like why I couldn't leave. It's because all of these traits that he had, which was so like manipulative, whatever, I was used to, and I'm not blaming anyone specific in my family, but I was used to these traits, which is why I went for him. Okay? And then the guys that were really nice to me, I just wasn't attracted to them. Why? Because I wasn't used to someone treating me well. I wasn't used to someone treating me like a princess. I wasn't used to it. That's why a lot of people, they love the toxic guy. They're like, it's fun. Like, I can't stay with a nice guy. It's boring. And it's like, you're going for the crazy life because you're used to it. You're used to the chaos. It's not because he's good for you. If anything, you should go for the opposite. You should go for the guy that's boring or nice because he's the one that's actually good for you. And honestly, at first you might think like that's boring, but it's like over time you're going to find out like, hey, this is actually what's good for me, and not the toxic guy that's like lying to me and cheating and we're arguing back and forth. Just because you're used to that doesn't mean it's right for you. And it's so funny that like nowadays I always see videos online of girls saying like they love toxic men. They don't know why they love them, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, honestly, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you should really delve deep into your childhood and see why you actually are attracted to these types of people. And this links to a theory of attachment styles, okay? Attachment styles are crucial. They're very important, all right? They're very important with how your relationships are in the future, with friendships, with significant others, any relationship. Attachment styles really impact the way you are in relationships. What's an attachment style? You're like thinking, what the hell is an attachment style? Don't worry, I got you. You form your attachment style as a baby, 7 to 11 years old. This is how your caregiver, which is usually your mother or your father, interacts with you. So the way they support you, treat you, that affects your attachment style. There are 3 or 4 types of attachment styles depending on what angle you look at. I'm going to speak about the 4. There's secure attachment style, anxious attachment style, avoidant attachment style, and fearful attachment style. If you're attracted to toxic people, let me tell you straight off the bat, you most likely have an anxious attachment style. All right, let's break it down a bit. I told you there's 4. Let me tell you what they are, and then you can decide which one you are, or you can do a quiz online and then it'll tell you which one you are. So the first one, secure attachment style. It's already in the name. You're secure. That's literally it. You're secure in your like self and in the world. You're secure. This is when the baby's physical and emotional needs are met. So you have a roof over your head, you have food, you're clean, and your parents support you emotionally. They don't just leave you cry, they don't neglect you, they are there for you. You have a secure attachment style. And you know what? You guessed it. These people are healthy in relationships. They have independence. They are self-confident. They know their worth. They usually don't go for toxic people because they are secure in themselves. The second one, Anxious attachment style. This is when your physical needs were met. So you have food, you have a roof over your head, but your emotional needs were not met. This might be where a parent dismisses you. They just don't care if you're crying. Like they just don't support you emotionally. If you're anxiously attached, you're clingy, you're scared to be alone, you're anxious, and you sometimes self-sabotage relationships because you're so scared of being hurt. So this is the person that texts constantly, is always worrying about their partner leaving you. You're like thinking, oh my god, did I mess up? Like, are they gonna fight with me today? Like, oh my god, what do I do to make them love me, because I'm so alone, scared to be alone. And you're also most likely to jump from one relationship to another. We all know that person that can't be single. We all know them. They break up with one person, they move on to the next week, and you like can't keep up with the people that they're dating, right? They're never alone. They're most likely to be anxiously attached because they can't be alone. They need someone there, and they're always seeking reassurance. That is, yeah. If this sounds like you, that is probably you. All right, so let's talk about avoidant attachment style. This person, all right, let's talk about the baby. Okay. A person with avoidant attachment style is very, very independent, high confidence, okay? They don't rely on anyone, and they don't want anyone to rely on them. So far, it sounds good, right? They have a lot of self-confidence, but a bit too much. This is when it goes into narcissism. They think they're the most important person in the world. They don't care about anyone but themselves. So there was a study when they were studying attachment styles. They had like a situation when there was a baby and then their mum leaves the room. A securely attached baby will cry when that happens. The avoidant baby didn't cry at all and did not even care when the mum came back. It's like she didn't exist. This person is emotionally unavailable, and they're most likely to cheat, okay? Can you see which type of attachment styles would go hand in hand? Just take a quick guess. Okay, I'll tell you. Anxiously attached people and avoidant attached people are most likely to end up together. Why? Because the anxiously attached person wants some like reassurance, wants the toxic life, and so they end up going for the avoidant attached person. And they don't really care about anyone except themselves. Okay, look, just because you have an avoidant attachment style doesn't mean you're cheating. It doesn't mean anything. But I'm just saying generally, that's what happens. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about the fearful attachment style. This child is most likely experienced neglect, abuse, was always on edge as a child. And when they grow up, they seek, deep down, they want intimacy and closeness, but they shut people off because they're scared of being hurt. But deep down, they really want that intimacy, and they want love and experience love, but they don't do it, and instead they self-sabotage, or they push the other person away because they just don't want to get hurt. We're going to talk about anxious attachment style and avoidant attachment style. I'm not going to say the whole thing. I'm just going to say anxious and avoidant, okay? So anxious people go for avoidant people. I already explained why, because that is what they want. They go hand in hand. Secure people, healthy people, you can't relate. You should just exit this video, because you should just stop listening at this point, because you can't relate. But for us who have experienced some toxicity in our life, this is for us, or for you guys. So I'm going to give you an example of this relationship. The girl is anxiously attached. The guy is avoidant. Okay. He'll at the beginning, he's a narcissist. He wants something out of you. So he goes for you. He love bombs you. He puts effort, but it's always inconsistent. The inconsistency is what makes the anxious person stay, because they are used to the inconsistency that they experienced in their childhood, which make them stay with this person. And it's like, I'm imagining like a treadmill, like they're constantly running. They're trying so hard to keep this person stay with them, and the other person's just like inconsistent, like showing love, not showing love, cheating, not cheating, they're fighting back and forth. It's always this type of relationship. Also, I'm talking about like a really bad toxic person. Just because he's avoidant doesn't mean they're bad, but like this is a bad toxic person that's like a narcissist, gaslights you, avoidant, blah 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 blah. So this person will tell you that you don't deserve better, and then you start believing, I'm not gonna find any better and I'm only stuck with him because he knows that I'm not going to find any better. And like, I don't want to leave because I'm going to be alone, and I don't want to be alone. I want love. I don't want to spend the rest of my life alone. And then I don't want to start like a whole new chapter in my life where I have to find someone, and I'm not going to find anyone like him. So maybe I should just settle for this. And then you love the chaos, right? You love the arguments. You love everything about that. But honey, let me tell you, this is a roller coaster, and it always will be a roller coaster. And this leads into another question. Can I change him? Ladies, you can't change anyone unless they want to change for themselves. Blank, period, full stop, that's it. If they don't want to change themselves, what are you going to do? They don't care. They don't want to help. If they're not self-aware with how toxic they are, like, what makes you think that you're going to help? You're not. They might make you think that you are. They might tell you, oh, like, I've never felt this way about anyone. You've really changed me. You've really done this. And then they go cheat on you. And it's like, what? You were just telling me the other day that, like, you love me, whatever. And it's like, you can't change them. Unless people like this really need therapy. They need self-awareness. They need a long period of time to change. And I'm sorry to break it to you, you're not going to fix him. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. If anything, you should heal that broken part inside of you so you can find someone healthy for you. And another thing I'd like to add is, if someone fucks up and you forgive them, and then they do it again, and you forgive them, and then they do it again, you're really lowering your self-respect at that point, because they know the more they do it, the more they know they've got you, okay? The more you forgive them, the more they know they've got you, and the more they know that you're so dependent on them. Someone might say sorry and genuinely mean it, and they won't do it again. But if they keep doing it again, like, I'm sorry, but what are you doing? You're hurting yourself. At the end of the day, you're hurting yourself. Whenever someone gets cheated on the first time, I feel bad for them. I said first time on purpose. Because if they keep cheating on you and you keep going back, then you know what they're capable of. You know that they can disrespect you and keep cheating. So you know they've shown you their true colors. So it's like, why are you so surprised when it's the second time? Why are you so shocked when it's the fourth time, the fifth time, the sixth time? Why are you so shocked? You already know. And I'm sorry, but I don't feel bad for people like that, because you're allowing them to hurt you. At that point, you are telling him, go cheat on me. Like, if you try really hard, like, you can go cheat and I'm going to forgive you because I can't be alone. And I know that's very brutally honest and a bit mean to say that I don't feel bad for them. Like, obviously I feel bad for their trauma and everything, but I don't feel bad for the fact that they cheated, because you're allowing them to cheat. Let's talk about how you actually form these attachment styles. So like I said, there was a study where they were seeing attachment styles, and they put the baby in the room and their mother, and then the mother walks out, and they see how the baby reacts when the mother leaves and then when the mother comes back. Okay? For secure babies, their mum leaves, they start crying, they're like, where's my mum? Whatever. The mum comes back, they're comforted, they don't cry anymore, they stop, they're fine. With the anxious attachment styles, the mum is inconsistent. They nurture you. Sometimes you don't really know what they're going to do next. You don't know. You don't know if they're going to hug you, support you, or you don't know if they're going to dismiss you and gaslight you. You just don't know. It's just the inconsistency bit. Avoidant attachment styles is when your parents only meet your physical needs. They don't go beyond that. They don't offer you emotional support. They don't hug you. They don't like comfort you when you cry. They're most likely telling you to stop crying. They just, yeah. And that is why in the study, the babies that are avoidant have avoidant attachment styles. When the mum leaves, they don't care. When the mum comes back, they don't care, because they're not used to the emotional support. And that is why when they grow up, they're so used to being independent on their own, and They don't want to rely on anyone, and they're not emotionally available because they never were as a baby. They were never shown emotions, and they were never showing their emotions. It makes sense when you put it like that. And like, you kind of feel bad for them because you're like, damn, you went through all of that in your childhood. But it's like, you're a grown up now. You should be aware enough to see the things you're doing and the way you're hurting people. And I feel like you should really try to change yourself. Like I said earlier, the fearful attachment style, this is when there is neglect, abuse. They don't think they deserve love. This is like a really bad environment. Like their physical needs might have not even been met, let alone their emotional needs. So it's just like, that is why they don't think they deserve love, and they shut people off because they don't want to get hurt. This is the people that have like a wall up. You know when you meet someone and you can tell they've been through shit, and then they have like this massive wall and they just don't let anyone in. They're never emotional. They're never anything. And it's like, why? Well, most likely they have a fearful attachment style and they really do crave love, but they don't think they deserve it. I have some good news here, okay? It's not all bad news. You're not destined to be unhealthy forever. The good news is that you can change if you have the right tools with you. Okay? Don't worry. You got the right tools. I'm going to help you. I'm going to let you be in your healing era. I'm going to help you move away from that toxic ass person. I'm here to help. The first thing I'd like to talk about, which is something people always say, like, I'm never gonna get over him. I'm never gonna get over her. This is so painful. Like, I just can't. How long is this gonna last? How long is this hurt gonna last? It doesn't last for that long. Okay. There is a theory called the hedonic treadmill. Anyone that does psychology probably heard about this. Just imagine a line. Okay. Something positive happens. You go higher on the line. You increase, and then you go back down to the baseline. Something negative happens, you lose a loved one, it goes down the line and then it goes back up. So there's always a line that keeps you neutral. And us as humans, we adapt to a lot of things around us. Like, think about COVID. Okay? If you told me 10 years ago that I'm going to be stuck at home for like 6 months, I would have been like, you're crazy. How am I going to survive this? But I survived. A lot of people survived. We adapted to our houses. We adapted to staying at home, still having skills and habits and doing a lot of things at home. We adapted to that. We adapt to everything. We adapt to different environments. You really think that we can adapt to all of these things, but you can't adapt to being single for a bit? Really? Come on. You can. And obviously it's easier said than done. When you're in that moment, you're at this really low point of your life. But I have some good news. If that is the lowest point in your life, then there's only going up from there. Like, congratulations, you've hit rock bottom. You're down there, you're in the dirt, you're crying, you're depressed, you're at the bottom. There's no going down more. That's it. You're at the bottom. So all you can do now is go up, and you will go up. Why? Because we have a baseline that we all go up to. And I'm not disregarding mental illness like depression and stuff like that. That's like a completely different thing. But I'm talking about the general population. We adapt to everything. We adapt from breakups. It might take time. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. But eventually you will get better over time. You will be able to manage and handle the pain. And another thing I want to talk about later on in another episode, if you guys want me to talk about it, breakups. And why breakups are so physically, emotionally painful. It's very interesting. Let me know if you want to hear about it. Back to the hedonic treadmill that I was talking about, how we have a baseline. There was a study, I don't remember the exact accurate details, but I'm going to speak about what I remember. So they had two groups. They compared people that won the lottery and compared people that just became paralyzed. And then they compared their happiness rating a year later. The most common answer is, the people that won the lottery are going to be so much happier next year. Like, what the hell? They won so much money. And the people that got paralyzed are going to be miserable. Wrong. A year later, they found out that the people that won the lottery weren't as happy as they expected them to be. And if anything, they went closer to their baseline. And the people that were paralyzed weren't as depressed as they thought they would be, like the experimenter. They weren't as sad as they thought. The expectations were wrong because, like I said, they adapted to their environment. and they adapted to the situation. Like, yeah, you think, oh my God, I just won $1 million. Oh my God, I got 1 million views. Oh my God, I got this. Like, yeah, like that's a dopamine hit. But then eventually you're going to go back to how you were a week ago. That's just how it is. Like, it's not always bad because, you know, if you lose someone or you go through a breakup, you're always going to go back to your normal baseline. Moving on, you need to start trusting yourself and make better decisions. What do I mean by that? You probably think that you're probably contemplating in your head, do I break up with them? Do I not break up with them? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if if you're questioning it and you made a list of pros and cons in the relationship and the cons list outweighs the pros by a lot, then you already know the answer. You should break up with them. They're not a good person. So you need to trust your decision. And I know that's a very big decision to make. So before that, you need to start making little decisions where you build the trust within yourself, okay? Whether it's going for a job you want or gaining a new skill and really trusting that you can get better and just making overall decisions in your life that you are firm with and you believe, that will help you build your trust in yourself. So when it comes to bigger situations like a breakup, you will trust your gut straight away. Like, no, I know what's right for me. I'm done. So that's what I mean by building trust within yourself. Rather than going for the breakup straight away and trusting that decision, start with smaller things. I mentioned starting a skill. This increases your self-confidence. Because if you're in a toxic relationship, you're most likely to have a very low self-confidence. And how do we build this self-confidence? Good question. I don't even know yet. I'm still on that journey myself. But this is what I've gathered from my experience, is that when you stick to a skill long enough and you get really good at it, you're going to develop self-confidence. If you're stuck at home doing nothing, you don't do anything, you're just in a toxic relationship, nothing, why would you have self-confidence? You have nothing to be confident about. But if you study, you get a degree, you go get a job, you go higher in management, you learn how to cook, you learn how to play sport, all of these things will build your self-confidence. Why? Because you're going to think, wow, I did this for myself. I don't need anyone to do this for me. I don't need anyone to pay my bills. I don't need anyone to make me good at soccer. I did it myself. I did this. You did this. Not him, not your family, not your cousin, not your boyfriend. No, you did this. Remember that. You did this. And that is how you gain self-confidence. Let's say you just broke up. Let's say the toxic person broke up with you or you just broke up with them. Stay single. Please don't run to the next guy. You know why? Because you're most likely going to choose the wrong one again. Okay? It's not going to change. You didn't like go from this wrong guy and then automatically go for a good one. No, you need to stay single. Discover yourself. Spend time with yourself and find out who you are, what you want, so you don't end up with the next guy that's gonna F you over and then you're gonna waste a lot of time and it's really not worth it. Like, guys, like, time is ticking. You don't want to keep wasting your time with people that aren't worth it. You really don't. Say self-affirmations to yourself. If you never experienced love as a child, show love to yourself. You never experienced support as a child, show support to yourself. Buy yourself flowers. Tell yourself well done when you do something. Look yourself in the mirror and say, you are beautiful just the way you are. And I know at the beginning you're going to feel like, ew, like I feel so cringe doing this. Like, this is so weird, like talking to myself in the mirror. If you can't accept love from yourself, how do you expect to accept love from someone else? You just won't. You can't even accept it for yourself. You can't even accept telling yourself you are beautiful, you're the best, well done, you did this so good, like blah, blah, blah. If you can't even accept those words from yourself, how are you actually going to accept true love when it comes your way? You're not. You're just going to ignore it and be like, nah, I'm going to go for the guy that's gaslighting me. Yeah, he just seems like the better option. Sack the nice guy. Sack the supportive, loyal guy. Why? Because I don't deserve this. I don't deserve that love. So if you keep telling yourself affirmations, you're not as harsh and critical on yourself. Easier said than done, of course. I'm so critical of myself. Don't, like, when you mess up, don't like say, oh, you're so stupid. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're so dumb. You're so embarrassing. You're so weird. Don't tell all these things to yourself, because you're going to just keep reinforcing this cycle of negativity. Like, tell yourself it's okay you messed up. You'll do better. But spoil yourself. Buy yourself some lunch. Take yourself out. Spend time alone. You're with yourself 24/7, okay? Do you not want to know yourself? Do you not want to know your personality? Do you not want to know your skills, your trades? Do you not want to know how you are as a person so you know what you want in another person? It makes no sense. People always complain about, ew, it's so embarrassing, like going to a restaurant alone. Why? You know how many times I've taken myself out? Not so much, but I have done it before. Like, I've taken myself out to eat Thai, to eat sushi, to go. I love shopping alone. I love shopping alone. I love having AirPods in, walking around, doing my thing, thinking to myself, having a conversation with myself. I love it. Why? Because I love spending time with myself. You should too. If you feel uncomfortable spending time alone, there you go. That's something you need to improve on. If you spend time alone, you get to know yourself better. You can give yourself self-affirmations. You can grow your independence, trust your decisions, and gain self-confidence. That is just one thing you can do that can improve all of these things in your life. Just spend more time alone. So you're used to being alone, and that way anyone else you meet just adds on to your life. You're not dependent on them. They add something to your life, okay? And another thing, you need to not show dependence on someone. Even if they're a great person, don't show that you're dependent, because that shifts the power dynamic in your relationship, and they know that you rely on them, and that could subconsciously make them treat you like shit. Why? Because it's human nature. When you know that someone's not going to leave no matter what you do, you slowly start treating them like shit. Because you know they're reliant on you. So don't depend on someone. Don't show someone that you're dependent on them. It's not worth it. Don't show them that you're reliant on, you depend on their compliments, or you're depending on their support and praise. Don't show them that you depend on going out and having fun with them there. Go out alone. Don't let someone gaslight you. If there is so much evidence that this person is a shitty person or they cheated on you, don't let them manipulate you into thinking you're crazy. And that goes into my other point. Notice the signs. If they're gaslighting you, they're manipulative, really sit down with yourself. Write a list. I love lists. Okay, I love them. I use them for everything. Pros and cons. What's the evidence? What's not the evidence? Okay. They cheated on me. What's the evidence? There was text. There was photos. The girl messaged you. You seen them. Whatever. That's the evidence for it. Okay. The only evidence against is them telling you, hey, you're crazy. Logically, the evidence for wins, right? They cheated on you. Even not cheating, okay? They try to tell you that you're like ugly. Okay? They tell you you're ugly. Make a list. Pros and cons. Cons, they called me ugly. They disrespect me. They don't show me love. Sit there with yourself and make a pros and cons list. Notice the signs. Notice how they treat you. And notice what type of guys you don't go for. Why don't you go for these guys? Why don't you? Is it because they're nice? Is it because you're uncomfortable being treated well? Notice the signs. And finally, I want to talk about gratitude. I never understood the power of gratitude until recently, because gratitude is like, yeah, like we're all grateful to be here. Like, I'm grateful to be here, but you don't really know how much gratitude can help you. I want you to do this. Some homework, guys. Some homework. Every single night, name 3 things you're thankful for. Okay? Whether it's for a pillow, your bed, a shower, food, anything. Show gratitude. That will help you realize, wow, I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm wasting my life caring if a guy replied to my message or not, caring if his snap score went higher or not, caring if he's out clubbing and he's lying to me, caring if his phone's actually switched off or not, like caring about all of these things that mean nothing, because you are alive, you are healthy, you have a family. Maybe you don't have a family, I don't know. But like, you have a lot of things to be thankful for. If you're listening to this podcast, you have things to be thankful for. Why? Because you're probably watching it or listening to it on a device. You should be grateful to have that device. A lot of people don't have these devices that you can easily Google things, watch things, whatever. Like, just show gratitude. Okay? Don't waste your life on someone who is not worth it. And to close off this episode, I just want you to remember that you deserve the absolute best, and do not settle for anyone that makes you feel less than your worth, doesn't treat you like a princess, doesn't support you, doesn't love you. I don't care how many times he says I love you, he tells you I love you, or how many times he tells you you've changed him and yo blah, blah, blah. I don't care what he says. If actions speak louder than words, and if he's not showing you his love for you, babes, you gotta end it. He's not worth it. And I know it's hard, and I know it's such a big decision to do, and if it makes you feel better, make someone send that message for you. I made someone once send the breakup message for me. I know that's so petty, but like, I physically could not break up with this person that I had someone else press send for me because it was so hard. I couldn't do it. And I know, girls, like, I know the feeling. I know the feeling where you message them and you're waiting for them to reply. Like, have they replied yet? Are they going to leave me? Are they going to dump me? Are they going to do this? Oh, you don't know what they're going to do, right? If you're thinking this way, you're with someone toxic. And I really, really, really hope you got anything from this podcast, because I really hope you guys stay safe, stay with someone you love, someone that they love you, and just follow the things I mentioned in this podcast. And yeah, the reason you love toxic people is probably from your childhood. Attachment styles, all of that Gucci stuff, you know, it's from all of that. That is all that I have for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me speak for like, I don't know, 40 minutes on a podcast. I'm going to keep posting episodes. You can listen to this on Spotify. Actually, I don't even know where you can listen to this on. Maybe Spotify. You can watch the full video on YouTube. You can watch the clips on TikTok if you want. But yeah, that is all that I have for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and stay safe. I love you all. Let's go.